Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome Man United to a European final along with Spurs, something that Arsenal couldn't do on Wednesday against PSG. What is next for Arsenal? Saliba is heavily linked to Real Madrid. They said they're going to go big for him. Of course, we'll talk about it. Should Saliba stay? Should Saliba leave? Of course, what is next for Mikel Arteta? A lot of Arteta outers these days. Are they right? Are they wrong? We'll talk about it as well. Kevin De Bruyne is heating up going to Liverpool, actually, which is kind of surprising. Should Liverpool sign him or should Arsenal sign him? Does he fit Liverpool? Does he elevate Liverpool? Julian Álvarez as well might be going to Liverpool. So that is 2 ex-Man City players might be going to Liverpool. What are Liverpool cooking? We'll talk about that as well. The 15th and the 16th of the Premier League are in a European League final, beating the fourth best team in La Liga. In Bilbao, 7-1, you know, that is absolutely just a testament to how strong this Premier League season has been. Why are you shaking your head, Jamie? It's literally a testament how strong the Premier League
is. Give over. Like, we were talking about in the group chat before. Anthony is cooking. Staffy, stop shaking your head. Staffy.
Okay, so Anthony, rationally. Anthony
rationally.
Is another proof that the Premier League is strong. So Man United have 15 losses while they go to Europe. They beat the fourth team in La Liga. 7-1.
Where's he gone? It doesn't matter. He's gone. It doesn't matter, Mo. Like, at the end of the day, United win 7-1 in the European final, considering how bad they've been. 16 losses in the league. And Spurs as well. Like, it's shocking carry on. And I think the Europa League... There's a lot of talk saying Europa League that if you win the Europa League, you shouldn't get Champions League. I don't agree with that. I think they made an issue with not dropping the teams in the Champions League back down into the Europa League after they, like, say, dropped out. Because what's happened now is the quality it's not filtering in. Like, the quality of the Europa League has got worse because those teams aren't coming into it and it's not making it more competitive. So, listen, a European final, I'm not hating on United for getting to a European final or Spurs. Like, you still have to get there, but the quality definitely has gone down, and it doesn't. I don't think it says that the Premier League is better.
Let's restart. Let's do this all over again. All right. Mo said United and Spurs in a European Cup final. The correct response would have been congrats. So can we say
congrats after?
Can you please say congratulations on making a
final?
I
did say congrats after.
Can everyone tell me congrats on making a final? Especially you, Ashraf. I want you to congratulate me on making a final.
Why especially me?
Because it's human decency. Just say congrats.
Yeah, but why especially me? If you answer that, I'll say it. Why me
Just-
specifically?
Why Ashraf? Yeah, that doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
it's not like I've been
No,
shitting
just
on
say
United.
congrats
shitting
and then
on
I'll explain.
Staffy.
Just please say congrats. Just be a decent
Yalla,
human being and say congrats.
Congrats on reaching the finals. I hope you
Thank
guys lose in the finals, but congrats in the finals.
So you want us to lose the Spurs?
Yeah, I have my logic behind it. I'm not an emotional Arsenal fan like that, so I have logic behind it.
Okay. Congrats, by the way, Dan, on making a European Cup final as well. Congrats, Patrick, on being in the FA Cup
Oh,
final.
that's why. I get you.
My mother raised me very well. She told me to always be a respectful person, and I've been
Congrats
respectful.
to you, man. Congrats. We are
And I
proud.
knew you were a respectful person as well, Ashraf. I just wanted to make sure you say it as well.
congrats.
Anyway,
now we can
big
continue
up
the show.
everyone that is here. Can we get the likes up, people? Can we get the likes up? All these guys' channels in the description. Patrick, True City fan, first time on the National League, so welcome, Patrick. Of course, Dan channel in the description. Ashraf Talks Ball, the football story, along with Tom, Rory, and of course, Staffy TV. For Manchester United, to be honest with you, I was thinking about something today. I'm thinking, Amorim for a season, right? He has failed in the league. That's granted. 15 losses. There's a lot of losses for him in the league. For him to take this team to Europa, regardless of how strong the competition is, he still beat Bilbao, he still beat Lyon. To lead that team to European final, if he wins the final of not, Ange has been here for 2 years now, so he has worked more with the squad. I think that's a success story for Ruben Amorim, regardless of what happens in the league. Is that wrong to say? Like one season, half a season, you get them to a European final with dud players like Højlund in the team. I think that it's Garnacho, Mason Mount is coming back. That is a success story.
The last manager, by the way, to do that was Jose Mourinho. He came in his first year and he took us to the Europa League final. That's good company, respectable company.
Yeah, but that is for the people that say Amorim. That is for the people that say Amorim out and all this stuff. And sorry, like with all due respect to Chelsea beat like teams that we don't know a lot about. But Man United beat Lyon, beat Bilbao. You know what I mean? They're gonna play Spurs in the final. Sociedad as well. Like it's not an easy. Like these teams, if they face a 15th team in the Premier League, they would normally beat them. But Amorim has succeeded to get them to reach the final. To be honest.
And we finished top 3 in I think were we top 3? Yeah, we were top 3 in the league format before obviously the knockouts. Yeah. And we're the only team who's undefeated. For a team that Jamie likes to remind us that we have 15, 16 losses. I lost count how many losses. That's a pretty good damn stat to go into Europe and look like, I'm not gonna lie, we'll look like a completely different team.
So why is he losing in the league and just winning in Europe then?
I think I'll be very honest. I've always said this and I'm gonna maintain it. United get bullied in the league on physical levels more than footballing levels. We're not a great footballing team, don't get me wrong, but I think our physical levels are worse. I think the fact that we play teams in the Europa League that don't outdo us physically really keeps us in games. And you already know, Mo, like Premier League is kind of different than European football. European games are like kind of more open. I fancy my chances with bad strikers and bad attackers in open games where I'm allowed to create more chances and get possible. I wouldn't say like easy, but easier attempts to score goals rather than the Premier League when sometimes I face teams that, number one, keep the ball a lot more than me, win their 50-50s a lot more than me. And when push comes to shove, they kind of put more defenders behind the ball. And I struggle when that happens. I need space in order to score goals. The Premier League doesn't give me the same amount of space. So I think that the football we play on both ends is completely different, which reminds me again how much United need to do in recruitment in the summer to compete on the Premier League level, because we can't outrun these Premier League teams, but we can definitely outrun these Europa League teams.
I actually don't think you're going to win the final, to be honest. It's no, like, I think Spurs are going to win the final. I think they're beaten. The reason why it's not just banter. The reason why is that because I think Spurs have already beaten you like 3 times this season. I think they're more ready to play a cup final this season. Am I lagging? Yes, I am lagging.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
No, I think the team at Spurs are more ready to win that final than Man United. Ange Postecoglou looks like fired up. Amorim, yes, looks like he wants to win it. But I think Spurs are at the current moment are a better team than Man United. They have more weapons than Man United to win that final.
What justifies that more? Let me just ask you, what can't understand because you're saying Spurs are ready to win a final more than United. I look like United is the one that looks like they're on the upper. What's the name for it? They look more motivated. Spurs, I don't know. Where do you see it? Like, what's your justification on that?
I think he's lagging.
He's lagging,
You hear
isn't it? Because
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, he must be. He must be. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he hears this.
Because I don't get it.
Everyone else can.
Him saying Spurs is better and more ready. I look at the United team, how they've played and how they've come back. They look more motivated. The Spurs team, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
And we're more experienced in these situations, which is something Mo failed to mention.
That's what
Go ahead, Jamie.
No, that's what I agree with you, Staffy. I think there's a lot of talk when it comes to European competitions about having the experience and a club like we talk about with Madrid a lot of the time, or like say Liverpool maybe in those big games. And I think United have that when it comes to, especially not even European, like in the Europa League or European competitions, just winning trophies. I think that will count a lot for United in the final. I do think it's a bit of a toss-up. I think our Spurs are getting, obviously, their defence kind of sorted out. They're getting some players back. I think United are kind of hitting a little bit of form now. I know, the thing is, it's the same thing with Arsenal leading up to the Champions League games, and same with United and Spurs. They're not putting in as much effort. And even if you're offered a tiny bit in the league, then that's going to affect your performances. And that's why we've seen like the loss to Bournemouth for Arsenal and the loss to Brentford for United. I think that's just going to impact it. But I think in the Europa League, we're seeing a little bit more from them. And in the first half, I thought like Bilbao definitely gave they got the goal. And if they had got a second, it might have a little bit nervy. But then once Mount scored, it was just game over.
Does anybody here like disagree with me that Spurs have a better team than United?
Yeah, I do. I just asked you that. What
Sorry, I was
that?
lagging. I needed to change my browser for some
Yeah,
reason.
but what justifies that? Like, why would you? Because I'm looking. Even he's just explained to you why United went toe to toe with City. I know, obviously, people keep saying drunk. I don't take that excuses. I won't vote if we show that they have drunk. But United have been winning trophies regardless how the performance has been for them. And in this, for me, I don't know why. When I'm watching this United team, there's a bit of hunger. Even when Mason Mount scored yesterday, I could see the whole team. They really want this. I think they know that if we do this, at least maybe we'll get back to the Champions League. But what's with Spurs? Why are you saying you see something in Spurs? Because I don't see anything in Spurs. I'm just saying for Spurs, it's a coin toss. That whatever they show up on that day, and let's not forget that they're missing Madison, they're missing Son. So what's your
Son will be back to the final, by the way.
Will be? Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be back by then. Madison isn't. Madison's season's done.
Yeah, he's gone.
And to be fair, Madison, he's a United killer. He's one of those players that likes to play good against United. So it's actually like, obviously I'm not wishing injury on anyone, but it's a bit of a relief knowing that I don't have to face Madison in the final because last game, I think it was last game he scored against us as well when they beat us 1-0. So it's a good thing. I don't know what happened to Mo again.
What's led to obviously Spurs having the dominance over you in the last 3 times they played you? Are you concerned about it's their midfield that overruns you?
So they dominated us more under Ten Hag. So the first loss was under Ten Hag, that 3-0. And it was I'm not gonna lie, I think of all the defeats that happened this season, that was probably the most embarrassing one because from start to finish, they just absolutely dominated us. We got a red card that day, and it just didn't make it easier. I don't think we would have won even if we had 11 men, but they dominated us from start to finish. I remember Van de Ven just picking up the ball from his own half, running all the way to our byline and crossing it. I forgot who he crossed it to. It might have been Brennan Johnson. The whole game was an embarrassment. The last 2 games, though, they beat us 1-0, and I thought we played the better game. We had a mistake from Onana. And then the game before, they beat us 4-3 in the cup, where it was mistakes galore from both goalkeepers. Bayin did on the corner, and the one that he couldn't parry, and it just went to Solanke. And then obviously they had Fraser Forster, who gave us like 2 goals because we pressed him. It was like so many mistakes. The last 2 games we competed with them. They did win them, but we competed with them. And you can argue for large parts in both games, I thought United played better football. I think one thing we struggle with when it comes to Spurs, their midfield is more balanced. They have a more balanced midfield. They have a strong midfield. Bissouma, when he decides to play football, you got what's his name, Bentancur, and as I said, Madison is him not being there is going to give us a lot less to worry about when it comes to the creative aspect, because I think he's the best creator in that midfield. Obviously, Solanke being up there is my biggest worry because I feel like we have a couple defenders that if you have a bully striker on them, they could be bullied, and he did score twice against us in the FA Cup, so he's going to be someone to watch out to. I don't necessarily disagree with Mo in terms of him wanting to pick Spurs, because I really do think it's a close matchup. Like, I won't sit here and do what United fans are gonna do. A lot of United fans, you're gonna hear this over the next 2 weeks. Oh, they're Spurs, so we're gonna win. That is not the mentality going to this game.
Yeah.
Spurs don't even get the finals. So if your logic is that Spurs don't win finals, well, the logic is they never even get the finals. So if they got to a final, surely I have to treat them as any other football team, address their weaknesses and their strengths, and say, how can I exploit them? I think one of the things United have, and Patrick mentioned that, is the fact that we've been to a lot of finals recently. Let's not forget, and you guys probably don't know the stat. That's fine. United over the last 5 years, this is our 5th final. So for as bad as United has been, being in 5 finals over 5 years, that's a lot of experience. We won 2 of them and we lost 2 of them. And a lot of these players were here when we lost to Villarreal about 4-5 years ago in the Europa League final. So they've tasted defeat and they've tasted the being on the winning side. And people usually underestimate, by the way, how much experience you get from losing. I think the experience you get from losing is actually larger than the experience you get from winning, because you know what not to do again, whether how you prepared for the day, whether how you looked at the game, your mentality, all these things, everything you did on the pitch, it teaches you a lot. So when you go into the next final, you don't lose. And we won our last 2 finals. We won against City, and obviously we won against Newcastle. And we have enough experience on the pitch. We got Mason Mount, who's been in a Champions League final. He knows how it is to be in a big European game.
Yeah.
Obviously Casemiro, we have Bruno. Listen, even Onana, as bad as he's been in a few finals, and I'm hoping that he's going to turn up on the day. There's enough experience in our team in terms of on the pitch that they can just ignore how bad the season has been and properly prepare for a team that they as well know, by the way. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd rather face Bodo Glimt if it was possible than to play Spurs, because it would have been a much easier game. Maybe boring, but it would have been easier. But they also played enough times against Spurs to know, this is what I did wrong the last 2 times they beat it this season. Now I know what not to do. The manager, he knows how to prepare for the game. It's an easy blueprint to get. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a team that we have zero experience playing against, you know?
Yeah. Can I ask a question to everyone? If Man United win this Europa League, I'm not going to ask if they have a better season or not than other teams. How do we think they approach next season? What should be the target? Is it going to top 4? Or they're already in the Champions League? What should be the target then?
It should be, but we won't. I'll tell you this from now, and I've already said it on my channel multiple times. United, if we win or make the Champions League, we're a 1st round exit. That's where my mindset is.
They'll get killed.
We won't get. If we get into the playoffs, I'll be surprised. I don't think we'll be in the playoffs. I don't think there's enough additions that you can make over the summer, because I don't care who you sign, bro. Go sign me like prime Messi, and I still don't think he takes this team to anything what these people expect him. That's how bad this team is. I think there won't be enough time to make enough additions that you're gonna go and play 8 games in the Champions League, which is a league format, and find enough form where you're competing with some of the top teams. Like, I don't think
you've done it in the Europa League against teams that are arguably potentially better than what you're going to, like, you think about it, you'll be playing the likes of Celtic, someone like that will potentially drop out of the Champions League. You know, teams of that sort of level and lower will be teams that drop out of the Champions League. So I think you've got a chance of getting into the knockout stages.
There's a chance, then. I just don't think we.
By the way,
there's a chance, but I don't think we will.
I think you will. The coefficient will make you play easier team.
And I don't know how that works. I think you'll do enough with this.
If Brest can make it to the knockout stages, I think you can. Yeah, I think Man United. And also, Man United. Okay, to be honest, Man United have shown me this season that they ride in big games, and all the 8 games will be big games for you. Every single game will be a big game for you. Amorim knows how to coach big games, so he's going to be able to do the same.
And Staffy, you made your point about Europe as well. You said about Europe that you feel like your team does better in Europe because of the teams it comes up against and doesn't get dominated. Like, if you look at the teams, I just got it up now. The teams that dropped out are Young Boys, Slovan Bratislava, Salzburg, Girona, Leipzig, probably the biggest name there, Sparta Prague, Sturm Graz, Red Star, Bologna, Shakhtar, Stuttgart, Zagreb. I feel like you can be in a mix there of, you know, that puts you in the playoffs. And I feel like potentially if you do better than those sort of teams, you're in the playoffs. That isn't That isn't unrealistic for Manchester United to achieve next season. I don't.
It is realistic. I'm just not putting my expectation on it. But you might say that I'm trying to like maybe downplay it and just be humble about it.
But
so
do you
if
not
we
think
achieve
you'll be
anything
if you're
more-
beating the likes of Lyon and you might go potentially win the Europa League and you might beat Sociedad and you beat Bilbao? Do you not think you're beating teams better than who are?
No, but I know my team. So the thing is,
Because
know
you're gonna face Bilbao again. Bilbao are gonna make the Champions
Yeah, they're
League.
going to be in that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll slap them again. No worry. As I said, send me to La Liga teams.
Yeah.
Listen, one thing,
The walk in the
there's
park.
one thing me and Mo have more in common than you guys think. You think we're just like, oh, two Egyptian guys, that's what they have in common. No, we know how to slap La Liga teams. He slapped Barcelona, I slapped Athletic Bilbao and Sociedad. You know, not a lot of people could do what we do. But my point is that going into next season.
Fucking Arsenal slapped Real Madrid like 5-1.
Yeah, but I don't like to associate myself with Arsenal, so I left Ashraf out of this. You know, but going into next season, I get what you guys are saying. By the way, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it. I just know that, like in a game against Lyon in the quarterfinal, where the stadium is loud, it's a European night,
Right.
the tifos are out, the fireworks are there, the hype and the build-up is there. I trust the team to turn up more to that than it's September or it's October and I'm just
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Honestly,
It's the
French.
stage.
We're getting carried away
Exactly.
anyway. We're talking about United getting into the Champions League. They have to win the fucking final first.
yeah.
No, but that was his question. What would we do if we go in next season?
yeah.
And
I wanna-
obviously that's his hypothetical.
Because there's a lot of topics. I gotta just move on, like, because I want to speak about the Rudiger to Chelsea and what Chelsea aspiration thing. United and Chelsea will be in part one. You'll be in part one.
Is
Yeah,
it
because
because
we
we're
won the
European winners? I think.
The
No,
winners
you're
get-
not. You're not gonna be. No. I don't think the winner.
No,
of the
I
conference
think
will
I
be
think
in-
United would probably be.
Oh
pot
no,
two,
actually,
because-
Chelsea might get him through the league. I don't know. How does that work?
No, I
You
think
would-
pot
I
two
don't
would be.
think
It's
you-
based
No,
on your
sir,
last
no,
5
sir,
years.
no, sir,
in
are
the-
you
in
sure?
European competitions.
How do you know that? Can someone Google this?
You know what?
Yeah.
Chelsea,
Can
don't you
someone
have the
Google this?
coefficient, which is why you're in the Club World Cup.
No.
No, Club World
They
Cup
went
is
to the
everyone
Club
at
Cup because it's
4
the
years
last
ago.
4 winners.
Yeah.
It's based on the last 5 years, I think, in Europe. So like United, what would it have been in it 2 years?
Oh,
in
Chelsea
Champions-
No,
might
United
then.
would be
Chelsea
in
might.
because
If
we
it's
won the
5
Europa League.
years, we might. That might be why.
Guys, United or Spurs will be pot one. It is confirmed. When you win the Europa League, you go into pot one. That's just how
Right.
it works.
Oh,
Because they put all
right.
the winners of the leagues, obviously, and then they put the winner of the Europa League. So us or Spurs, whoever wins, will be in pot one.
I'd be shocked if Chelsea.
Yeah,
were in-
conference league is not there. It's a Europa League's
Oh.
winner, Champions League, champions of the top 6 national leagues.
Us
So,
if
yeah.
Conference League takes you to Europa, the only reason they'll be in Champions is that they might finish in the top 5.
Yeah, I do think that if you win the Conference League and you go to Europa League, you will be in part one in Europa League. But it has no effect on your pot seeding.
Chelsea's Conference League has nothing to do with which pot they're in the Champions League.
Yes.
Pretend that
Okay.
Conference
Yeah,
League
so Nasser, no, Chelsea will not.
Then
be in
yeah,
part
but Nasser, by that logic, how could Arsenal be demoted to pot 2? I don't think we were pot 1 last year.
you were in part
we were in
one, so
part
you're gonna be still part two. You're not demoted. You're still gonna be in part two.
Yeah, we're not demoted. We were always in pot 2, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hello, Tom.
Hey Tom, how are you doing?
Hello, Tom.
You right, mate?
I'm good.
Can
Good.
you congratulate me for being a final? Everyone
With the gimmick.
You know
know
why
you
I'm
are
gonna
missing,
you
bro.
know,
Let
you know
him-
why
let
I'm
him
gonna
do it.
congratulate. You know why I'm gonna congratulate. You can join me on this. Dominic Solanke, when his team
know
needed
what?
him
I'm with
most, he stepped up
Liverpool
in
legend.
a semi-final.
I'm with it.
Ollie Watkins ain't doing that, is he?
Isn't he at Chelsea? Legend?
I'm
Yeah,
with it.
he's one of our own.
He was at
I thought
Chelsea
it's
and then went to
Academy,
Liverpool.
yeah.
He's a Chelsea Academy player, not even Liverpool Academy.
Not
player.
Liverpool. Yeah.
You know what?
No,
He
no,
made his
no,
name
no,
in
you-
Liverpool,
you-
not Bournemouth.
You don't understand the true context. That me and Staffy were the only ones arguing that Solanke's a better striker than
All
Watkins.
season.
Now,
And
he is
that's
I
why
know.
every
Better
sports in the
striker than
Europa
who?
League, me and Tom just at each
better
other in the
striker than
chat.
Ollie Watkins. I will stand by that.
You said he
so
is or
much
he's
better than
not?
Watkins.
Yeah, he is. I got so
Maybe
much
2
stick for
years
it.
ago.
Hey,
2
welcome
years
to the
ago,
club,
Watkins
man.
is better. Solanke's better now.
Dan Staffy Toman in that club. Solanke's better
Yeah,
than him.
well, I
You-
just
you
think
join us then.
Solanke's so much more of a natural striker. When I watch Watkins, I think he just looks so clunky. I think he looks like a winger
Sure,
playing.
Watkins isn't even starting for Villa now. He's getting left out, isn't
Bro,
he?
you got benched
Yeah.
by
Now
Rice.
he's gonna start.
He's starting.
You
Yeah.
got benched by
Guys,
Rice.
it's
He's out for the
7
season.
people, so we need to mind like the token over check. Going to Chelsea, the Rudiger news and the Newcastle game and the Conference League final. Do you want Rudiger back at Chelsea?
Yes. Come home, Tony. Come home. Like honestly, that'd be perfect for what we need right now in central defence. I think that would be great.
You want him to go back to Stuttgart? You
Pardon?
said come home. You want him to go back to Stuttgart? You said come
Nah,
home.
well, his home is at Stamford Bridge.
kidding.
He knows that. Like, he obviously was so crucial in that game when we won the Champions League away as well in Porto. I would take him back in an absolute heartbeat. Yeah, I think Chelsea need experience. We've been crying out for it. And if that's someone they feel that look, they're going to have to pay him bigger wages. I don't know where the stories come from, but if Rudiger wanted to return to London,
It's already the thing about it. That I tried to read as much about it yesterday. Reports are coming from Spain that Chelsea already spoke to the player.
Yeah, make it
And
happen.
Real Madrid are not
issue.
gonna let him. And Real Madrid are not gonna let him go on a free the year after. So they are willing to take a fee for him.
Oh,
Right.
so they don't want. So they don't want their players
Yeah.
going on frees. But when they can sign ones on frees, they're all for it.
Oh man,
Yeah, because they're
Honestly,
Real Madrid.
you're right.
You know,
They're a big
that is
rat, the
really-
pinnacle of
If
football.
Rudiger doesn't renew, they're gonna look to pay to cash in and buy another centre back. They're not gonna let him go on a free at the end of the
No,
contract.
did you see the thing with
That's
Saliba
smart.
and Kanate? They said, "Oh, they're
Yeah.
both 2 years left in their contract. They're both valued at 100 million," and they're like, "No, we're not paying that. We're just going to wait for 2 years, tell them not to sign a contract, and then we're going to take them for free." Those are reports coming out. Like that's how are they getting away? Like that's tapping up. That is literally tapping up players. Like
They've
don't.
done that for years. They've done that for years.
But how are they getting away with it? It's like I know it's so hard.
Agreed.
To
But
prove,
yeah,
but
but
like,
now they're taking my players, so I'm angry about it. So I'm gonna moan about it.
Oh.
They've
Oh.
always
Taking everyone
taken your
else's.
players. They've always
listen,
taken
if
your best
Liverpool
players.
is tapping up Southampton
No, they
players, that
typically
doesn't matter.
pay
But
for
like
them.
Real Madrid tapping up
Paid
Arsenal,
for them the
that's a
last
big
couple of
deal.
times. Now they're just being cheap bastards.
They paid for McManaman. I think they paid for Owen. If I'm not mistaken.
Matter was the one they didn't pay for. They paid for Owen.
Yeah, it
They paid
was
for
for-
Alvarez. They paid for Alonso.
Ah, okay.
And we got shafted
Yeah.
with Alonso. He's unbelievable.
But I wanna take this conversation. Sorry. We had a discussion yesterday about Chelsea's aspiration next season and can they challenge for the league? Is the gap between them and the challengers are so big or not? The likes of Arsenal and City. Looking at Chelsea's approach in this market, trying to sign Rudiger, if they go for an experienced striker, do we think Chelsea, if they make Champions League this season, should be challenging for the title next season? Or should they not? Is it the right step for you if you make Champions League the year after to just go challenge? Especially when you have a midfield like full of players that should be able to challenge, right? And you sign a Rudiger who's a Champions League winner with Real Madrid, Champions League winner, a La Liga winner with Real Madrid, like a winner with Chelsea. I think that should be it. Like,
No,
what is
I
next?
just don't, I think there's still a little bit more, Mo, to be honest. I just feel like you'd obviously need a keeper, you'd need a striker to
but they
compete with
said they're gonna sign
Jackson.
Kobo. That's okay.
I'll
So I'm
believe
putting-
believe it when I see the proof of the players that are recruited and how well they do. Because until Chelsea change their model, and I just don't really see the team being good enough to win the league title in the Prem. I think that model might work in different countries with less competition, but I just think there are going to be teams that are so much more set on winning and willing to sign players bigger wages, sign players on more experience, different age groups. I just feel like until Chelsea really do sort of shift away from that and recruit players with experience and winners, I just feel like they're going to struggle to really close
Where-
that gap enough.
I learned
Where did
yesterday,
the Rudiger
guys.
transfer
that
come
Chelsea-
from? Where did the
It-
Rudiger
it-
transfer?
Okay, it is Eddie. Eddie's saying, Eddie's a Real Madrid fan. He's saying Rudiger is suffering from a chronic knee disease. Real want to sell him as they know he won't be able to compete at the top level for long.
But then why
Forget
would
this
Chelsea take
news.
him?
No, forget that news. Rudiger doesn't want to sign a new contract at the current moment, so they have to sell him because he's going to be free. And
Is it
Rudiger
because
is
of
worth.
his behaviour,
It doesn't
the
sound like
other
a Chelsea transfer. Like to go
also
on
there
Dan's
is-
point, it
there's
sounds
his
like the opposite of
behaviour.
what they would buy.
It's
Why does he wanna
his
sign
behavior
though?
as well.
What happened
He-
with him in Madrid?
They
The
had those-
behavior and what he did. Do you know what he did? Like he threw,
The-
he
the-
threw
It was
something
in
at the
the-
referee, bro.
Yeah.
No, it
He
was in
threw
the
something
final.
at the referee.
Yeah.
Oh,
He threw a water
ice
bottle at him
pack.
or something.
He
Yeah,
threw
yeah. So that
something
would
at the referee.
explain why Madrid would not offer him a contract. But if they are, why wouldn't he want to sign it?
I'd say he
That's
wants
so
to stay.
confusing.
I am
I'd
not
say-
sure why, but I read yesterday plenty of reports from different like journals and stuff in Spain translated that he doesn't want to stay and he wants to leave. It's not for Chelsea. He just wants to leave, right? The only team that has spoken to him, to his camp, are Chelsea. So they're looking to add him back to the squad. They're looking to, because he was forced out of the team, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was all in that.
Did Chelsea have permission to speak to his camp? Or are we talking about tapping up here? Something that should be reported
Let
to
it
the
go,
correct
Tom.
authority.
Let it
Tom, let it
No,
go.
I'm just,
Oh my
now.
God,
You know,
He's gone to the
I've seen,
bigger club. It's
I've seen a
fine.
club be done over by illegal rule breaking. So now I am wanting to make sure that the greater football world is following these rules.
I do.
So
I don't want to ask who that club is. I have a suspicion who they are, but let's not get
No,
there.
Tom, I'm back
No,
here. I'm back
that's
here.
not illegal rule breaking if one of your own
Whichever
teams-
club
this-
and whichever rat
Oh,
left,
shut up,
I'll
man.
buy the buy.
you're really that Trent leaving broken you, bro. What is happened to you?
See, why'd you say the word Trent, man? Now he's gonna go on and
Yeah.
No. I
Just
don't
get
respond
over
to that
it.
name anymore.
You're
I
linked
don't
to
respond to
Kevin De
that name anymore.
Bruyne. You're linked to Kevin De Bruyne. You're linked to Julian Alvarez. Surely that replicate what Trent can offer you, right? Like surely.
Imagine how
I
easy
don't-
you
I
could have
don't
signed
respond
those
to the name
players
of
if you got a fee for Trent.
Trent. Yeah,
Why
shut
are
the
you
fuck
rallying him up
I know,
again?
I know what he did.
Why are you
Fucking
rallying
angry.
him up
We're
again?
I'm
We
so
haven't
angry.
signed- We've only signed one player in 3 transfer windows. Telling you, Liverpool's transfer window this year is going to be huge.
Yeah,
I know we hear
I've
that every year. We hear that every year, but still, this one's
No,
gonna
I think it will be. I've got a really strong feeling you're going to really do well in the transfer window.
we have a back slot yet, so I think now is
Well,
like
let's be honest, it's
like
not
Trent
hard to
is
trade
going.
on the right back. At least I'm going to get a right back who can defend the one-on-one now and doesn't get skinned 22 times by one winger in a season.
Oh, now he's hating on him.
Wait, which winger was that?
Doku beat him 22 times this season.
22. How'd you get
That is
beaten?
mad.
Yeah, but he
Do you
didn't produce anything at the end of it, so it doesn't matter.
He got done 8
Did they
times.
play
at
like
Anfield
only
and not even
twice?
start the
How
game.
did you get beat 22
No, that was one
times?
game. That was one game.
Over 2 games. Over 2 games.
You see what-
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, one game.
Guys,
Yeah.
one at a time. One at a time. We can't.
At
hear you.
Anfield, he got done 8 times, and Doku didn't even start that game. He came off the bench for like 25 minutes ago, and he
I
got done
remember
8
that.
times.
I remember that.
And then
yeah.
away at the Etihad, he got done 14 times.
Oh my God.
Do you know what's funny, Mo? So Liverpool fans, now you're
14.
counting how many times it gets done. When we were saying it as City fans, Liverpool fans were telling us to shush. But now he's going.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, guys. Yesterday, Wednesday on Street Facts, me, Terry, and Osam had a massive argument about is Trent a better defender than Dani Alves? Is Trent a
That was
better defender than Marcel?
Dani
Oh
Alves.
my God. I was like, and the problem is we went to like, is Trent better than Dani Alves? Is Trent better than this? And I'm like, where are we going with this? I actually don't think that Trent is a good defender at all. And I've maintained that, right? He's not. He's not a good but he's great going forward.
Yeah, he's
I
average.
said, I said he's a 2 out of 10 defender, a 2 out of 10 as a defender, right? I said he's great going forward. You can say that. You don't have to defend his defending ability because it doesn't exist. It just doesn't.
We're on a wonderful show called The Rational League, which is all about having rational debates, and it's time for me to be rational and say that Adam Wan-Bissaka won the debate years ago. And Reece James. I'll give him Reece James as well. Who else? Who else do we want to go for?
No, I think
Kyle Walker can have it. Tottenham. Fucking, I don't
you
wanna
can
give
be an average defender and like still be in a really good team. Like Dani Alves was an average defender. Marcelo was an average defender. Even Roberto Carlos back in the day, people like big up his defender. He was
Jordi
an average
Alba was
defender
an
as
average
well.
defender as well.
Yeah,
you guys are
Can I tell you,
when you're
guys,
when you're in
can I tell
teams
you-
that have a lot of the ball, they don't want
Thank you.
obviously
Thank
really
you,
good
Jamie.
defenders. They
Thank
want
you.
defenders that
Exactly.
can create. And like I think with the evolution of fullbacks, it's
Yes.
a lot of creativity comes from them. And I think we're going to probably, even nowadays, we'll probably see defenders. But actually, it might change a little bit. I think we're seeing maybe centre backs going into right back and stuff. It depends on the type of team they are. But like a lot of players want attacking fullbacks that can create things rather than defensive.
Yeah, but the difference is, to be honest with you, is that when you watch Marcelo versus Dani Alves, you watch the stats and you watch the games. Barcelona didn't used to be attacked at all. They used to get like 2 attacks, 3 attacks against them, right? So Dani Alves doesn't have to defend. Liverpool, even though they attack a lot, Trent used to be put in positions to defend. Marcelo, Real Madrid are not a position-based team to the extent of Barcelona. So he used to look like, oh, he's worst defender. Trent going to Real Madrid, we know that Carvajal, we've seen it many times, has to defend. You know what I mean? Like we look at Chelsea, we look at Man United, look at Liverpool, Arsenal, the right back has to defend. We look at, for example, Man City, because of Pep Guardiola, the right back and the left back don't have to defend a lot unless Pep Guardiola instruct them to stay back like Kyle Walker. He used to be he's the wall, basically. So the left back used to fly up and then the right back used to defend. Trent going to Real Madrid, he will be put in positions when you have to defend 1-on-1 because you know that Mbappe doesn't come back. You know that Vinny doesn't come back. You know that Jude runs around. but he's not a defender. Will he get exposed? I don't know. I don't want to go into the trend discussion because there's a lot of talking points we need to get across, to be honest. But for Chelsea, number one, Nasser came back and said that it is correct. It's about UEFA coefficients. Chelsea will be in pot 1.
I've actually just had a look. So Chelsea are currently above Arsenal in the coefficient. And in terms of winning the Conference League, it will put us on enough points to bump us probably into the top 10 to end up in or the top 9 to end up in pot 1.
Second
So
again.
you're going to be pot 1. Hold on. Chelsea will be pot 1. Can you explain more, please?
Yeah, it's based on the last 5 years of the UEFA coefficient, and Chelsea will rank inside. Hang on, I had the definition here. In the UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League, teams are seeded into 4 pots of 9 teams by their 5-year UEFA club coefficient. The UEFA Champions League holders automatically go into pot 1. And then I think like the other 8 teams will get seeded in. So if Chelsea win the Conference League, they'll probably end up in enough of a position to be into pot 1.
Pot 1 or pot 2?
Pot 1. Pot 1, because I think they're going to go above Dortmund if they get enough points, I think.
Oh, there is 8 teams in pot 1, right? Like the holder of Europa League, the holder of the Champions League.
Chelsea will probably jump ahead of Juventus and Dortmund if they win the Conference League to go into pot 1, I think. And especially if Manchester United lose the final, then I think they definitely will be in pot 1.
So can I just say, okay, so it will be the winner of La Liga. It will be Real Madrid for sure, based on coefficient, right? It will be Inter based on coefficient. We reached 2 finals, right?
Yeah.
Over the last 3 years. It will be Napoli because they're going to win the league, correct? It will be Liverpool.
I don't know.
Man City.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will be anymore.
I think it would be Napoli. Napoli might get in ahead of you because they'll be the winners of the league if they win the league. But I think
but we have way more points.
I don't think
we have way more points than Chelsea in the coefficient.
That's the old. I think that's the old format. The new format is based on where you rank in the UEFA coefficient on the last 5 years. So
for all of it, even if you win the league,
Napoli are. Let's see if they come up. They're 20th at the moment, so they're way off of being in pot 1. So because Chelsea have been in the last 5 years, they've won the Champions League and they will probably win a Conference League. They would have won 2 European trophies to boost them up into the top 8. The other ones are Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man City, Barcelona, Paris, Liverpool, Atleti, Man United, Dortmund, Juventus, Chelsea, then Arsenal. That's the top 12 currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think it has anything to do with winning the league anymore like it used to. I think because of how they've got the league in the Champions League, this is how they work out the fixtures.
You have, I see what you're talking about.
I think the idea is that if you were in pot 1, you're meant to get an easier set of fixtures.
Yes.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah, because you play 1 from pot 1, 2 from pot 2.
You play 2 from pot 2 from each pot.
Yeah, but yeah.
Z here is saying, can we talk about Saka being the biggest bottle job, Euro final, twice Premier League, World Cup, and now semi-final open goal? Z will come to Arsenal. We'll talk about Arsenal. That's what we're still going to come to Arsenal. But before we go to Arsenal, about the Kevin De Bruyne to Liverpool and Julian Alvarez, is that the right move for them?
No. I think it was debunked in the end, but it wouldn't be the right move. I would love for Liverpool to replace one of the best passers the league has ever seen, with probably the best passer the league has ever seen in De Bruyne. But I don't know. I think, especially in the way Liverpool's midfield is, we rely a lot on energy. And I think McAllister, Szoboszlai, there are people that get around the pitch. Gravenberch is like at the base of that. I think De Bruyne, if you're bringing him in, he's probably going to be a squad player. But I don't know. I think the wages that he'll ask for, the way FSG's model is set up, it's just like completely opposite of what they would usually do. So I don't think it would work. Can
I ask another question? Should Arsenal sign KDB?
No.
On a 2-year contract?
No.
Why not?
He's not.
Why not?
I don't know. This is the thing, right? I said it 2 seasons ago. I said it after the treble. I said Walker has to leave, and very soon we have to start looking at KDB moving on. I know he's been looking great in certain games where he doesn't assist or score, but my God, the KDB that at least helped us last year when we were with competing with Arsenal and did the whole assist for Newcastle and went on, that is done. More, if you're watching City, there was points this season where you as a KDB fan and City fan, you were sitting there saying, my God, the man is no longer the same. I know he's claiming that he had a surgery on his knee and he feels better, but he's not the same anymore. The pressing is not there. so he can't press anymore. He sometimes looked lost in the game. And this season, there's moments where even the smallest pass, the smallest KDB through ball can't even go through. Like he's crossing horrible. His corners horrible. I'm sorry. I just feel like if Arsenal are looking to move forward, I know that even if KDB shows up one game, he will look better than Odegaard. But come on, overall, you can't invest in KDB right now. It's not the time. And I think for Arsenal, they need to be looking at somebody else who is better, younger, and somebody else maybe who can help them with the midfield. I'm just sorry. I know it looks attractive to people, but I'm telling you, stay away from KDB.
He probably still wants to win trophies as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's no point going to Arsenal.
What?
He probably still wants to win trophies. No point going to Arsenal.
Yeah, but
I think he'd be a good squad player. If he comes in to be backup, he's okay to come in a few games here and there. That's fine. But the club is never going to invest in someone like him at that age, especially with the wages he's going to demand.
He wants to play the World Cup too. He wants to play the World Cup.
He wants to. Yeah, probably.
I think he should go Bayern Munich. I think he'd be great to just come in instead of Thomas Muller.
Sure.
I think he'd be fantastic for them for a season or two.
The heaviest things are Napoli, aren't they?
I think Arsenal should sign him.
No.
He wouldn't be bad for Arsenal, but I think it would be
great. Winning mentality.
What about Chelsea?
He's a winner.
Yeah. No,
he's a winner.
He's
We have winners. It doesn't help.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You don't have someone like Kevin De Bruyne or Ashraf. Wallahi, this is not banter.
But
I would take him, by the way, I would take him at Inter in a heartbeat.
I don't know if you were trying to talk stuff.
Yeah, he could go Italy, you know. The fact that
I would take him at Inter in a heartbeat.
Are showing that the old guys
I think he would cook under Arteta. Arteta would use him very well under the forward. If you get Zubamendi and Declan Rice and he plays in the 10, I think he cooks. If you get a striker, I think he doesn't have to play every single game. He plays the big games. I actually think it suits Arsenal to the T. And he adds that.
I don't know which Arteta
mentality.
you've been watching, because the Arteta of this season emphasizes tremendously on everyone sprinting and getting back to shape. KDB is not going to be able to do that. One player in your team that doesn't do what Arteta wants, it's not going to work. Maybe if Arteta...
Ashraf, he will still put up the sort of numbers that someone like McAllister or Szoboszlai will put up. I still think he'd rival that next season, and I don't think you can turn that down in your team.
Look, it depends what we're trying to aim for next season. If we are trying to say we need to win the league next season.
Wait, were you talking all this time? I thought you were on the phone.
He was, and I told him.
And I was like, you guys are not letting me talk. I was like, what's the system?
Guys, he's going to stay in Manchester. He's going to stay in Manchester.
I literally told you you're on mute. I said
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I thought he was on a phone call, so that's why I was like,
no.
Exactly.
I didn't speak a lot. I was just trying to chip in. Now, I was disagreeing with mine. I agree with you, Ashraf. There's no way. There's so many things wrong with it, by the way, because in the time that you are bringing in KDB to give you potentially a season or two, one of your rivals in the league that you're trying to be better than over the next few years is City, and they're gonna be looking at the likes of, I don't know, they're trying to get like a Musiala, they're trying to get all these players. I'm not saying they will. These are the type of players that they're looking at. They're looking at securing their future at least with a top player for the next 5 seasons minimum. You go into the KDB, who I don't think even fits the way they play right now, and I think Ashraf just said spot on the physical aspect. He gives them nothing from what Arteta wants. I mean, for God's sake, they were playing a semi-final relying on set pieces and lock throw-ins, and you're trying to bring KDB in that. What's KDB got to do? He don't got the biceps for the long throw-ins, so what's he going to be doing? Just being a bystander watching the game? It's a horrible fit. It's a horrible fit. I don't think this is like
Lampard going to City sort of moment, because that's what I'm doing.
He went for like 4
in
months.
moments, he'll step up for a team that aren't like challenging.
He scored anyway.
Yeah, no, I genuinely think that someone could find a lot of use out of KDB in the Prem, and I think he still believes he's good enough. So he must feel that in himself when he steps on the pitch, that he isn't that far away from competing against, at his normal level.
What about Newcastle?
A player like KD, yeah, maybe. Like Newcastle's not a bad shout either. A player like KDB as well. His game can continue on. Like, I mean, the injury's not great, but you look at someone like Modric. He's adapted his game for years, and he's continued it and allowed himself to play on for longer. I think KDB's the type of player that could do that as well. There's no reason why KDB can't drop further back into the midfield with the ability that he has. He doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I suppose we don't know that you can do that, though. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
I think the ability is there to know that it'll be good enough to do that. And I think for the next 2 years, you could take a gamble on KDB. I know the wages.
He hasn't. Then that's the issue. If he played that way in his final days at City, which is right now, I don't even think City fans would be complaining about that much because he'd be doing basically what Scholes did. Scholes did that in his latter years when he started being really less effective moving forward because he was never.
Yeah,
that
but I don't
anyways.
think Pep doesn't want that. Pep doesn't want that. But I think if another manager,
he's playing him as a first 9, isn't it? He's playing him as a first 9.
I think if another manager looked at KDB and thought, do you know what? Look, maybe your legs are gone. You're 33. Sometimes you can be at your prime at that age. Sometimes you can be completely sort of fading off, and injuries are getting in the way. We need to adjust your game. You know, like I think some players hit their peak at that age. Benzema won his Ballon d'Or at 34, but someone like Wilfried Zaha's come out the other day and said at 32 he's absolutely done. He's not the same Wilfried Zaha that people remember him as. So everyone's different, and we all know KDB's had his injuries. So maybe an adaptation to his game might be something that prolongs his career at the top level.
All right, let me just.
I just cannot think of any. I just cannot think of any other player at KDB's age in midfield or striker who went to a team that's challenging for the league in England and managed to do well.
Yeah, but no, I think we're talking about teams that are sort of not quite nailed on. Someone like Newcastle, like they're not quite nailed on, but he could go there and do a job for sure. I think
they're not bringing up that midfield for him. No disrespect, he's not getting that midfield is known for
yes, but
all
Staffy,
three
what someone like KDB does is for like if you want to play him in the same position, you bring him on last like half an hour. He could change your game. He could get you back into a game. You know, we don't know what their midfield will look like next season.
I think he should go to Serie A. I actually like the Inter shout more.
I think Serie A would be more suited to a player of that age.
I would love to see him at Inter, bro.
Yeah,
your midfield would work with this,
but does he not want to stay in England? Has he not stated that he'd rather?
That's the whole point.
He has a preference to stay in England.
Yeah. He wants to find a team in England.
You know what? Chelsea would be a fantastic move for him. I think systematically he suits Maresca's system right now as well. I just don't think he'll come back to Chelsea in response to that comment that's there in the chat.
Why? I don't think he can start for Spurs. He just Spurs. I don't know.
No. Okay, Kevin De Bruyne is gonna go to a team that he knows will challenge or do something or play in the Champions League. Like he was like
only also Liverpool, no? For him.
For me, it's also Liverpool. The Chelsea shout is that if Chelsea board can convince you to come back and lead these kids to glory because they're going to play Champions League, that is like we're going to get a striker, we're going to get Rudiger back, like blah, 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 and then lead these kids to glory. You know what I mean? I think the Liverpool doesn't suit him because they have McAllister, which is kind of similar. I think Odegaard has fell off in terms of creativity, so they need a Kevin De Bruyne. They need a different flavor, like someone like a Kevin De Bruyne. I think that Arsenal, if they get a Kevin De Bruyne, he will be able to lead the likes of Rice. And if you get Zubimendi, he worked with Mikel Arteta before at Man City for years, right? At Man City. I think he knows him.
What does that mean?
Yeah, but Raheem Sterling is finished. Like Kevin De Bruyne.
Finished a long time ago, man.
No. When you watch Kevin De Bruyne, when you watch Kevin De Bruyne, now he still scores goals when he comes on for City. When he's used the right way, I think it can be very beneficial for Arsenal. And I think you need that kind of character on your team on the pitch. Someone that is a difference maker from the midfield. Your midfield has been lacking creativity massively lately.
Yes, this season, not every single season. This season has been an off-form season, I agree. Unless we're saying that's who Arsenal are.
I think it's going to continue.
But you don't have any evidence or basis to it, right? You're just saying it out of hope or
has an evidence of the whole season, Ashraf, that Arsenal's definitely declined.
Can I do the super chat then about Chelsea before we move to Arsenal? Because now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Chelsea are 7th now without winning conference. Dan just shared the page, and Chelsea. Now I can share the page with you guys if you guys wanna look at it because Dan shared it with me. Let me just share it. It's Dan put it in the private chat. It is very simple. It's right here. This is the ranking of Europe at the current moment. Yeah, I know the stuff has to go to straight fact. This is the page.
Yeah, I'm gonna go, guys.
This is the page.
See you, Staffy.
See you, Staffy.
Oh wait, let me see that page before I go. I want to see.
It's right here, guys. So this is it.
We're number 2.
Real Madrid, Man City, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Paris, Saint-Germain, Inter, Chelsea, Dortmund, Roma, Barcelona. This is it. 9th. This is it.
They win the Europa League last year? No.
Okay.
Conference League a couple years ago.
Okay, Staffy, appreciate you.
Listen, before I go, Mo, you guys were saying he wants to stay in England. Since we're being rational, I have a suggestion. You know, it wouldn't be the first time he held that red jersey. Clearly,
is that Nottingham Forest? Is that who that is?
No, Man United. And did you know what he said? He said, "I'm going to burn it." He said, "I'm going to."
Oh.
Don't say that, but Patrick. We wanted to fool people. Big up, guys. Big up. Generous issue.
See you, Staffy.
Yeah, see, for Arsenal though, what happened after it's like, to be honest with you guys, I did not expect that flip. There is a lot of people that completely flipped about, forget Arteta, about the trajectory of the club. Like now our people are saying it's a bad team, they're never gonna win, blah blah blah. This manager is never gonna win just because of one game.
Yeah, that's emotion, though, isn't it? I think, but I think some of the comments afterwards are enough for people to change their opinion on potentially the management and what's been being portrayed to the players. But I think a lot of it's emotion. But I was quite shocked at what Arteta said. I felt like he didn't understand how that tie truly played out, to be honest. And if he's telling his players that, I think it might be acceptable to an extent, but you have to take some accountability that you weren't the better team there. No one's told you that you were the better team because Luis Enrique's laughed it off in a press conference. It just looks a little bit like he's got egg on his face off the back of that tie. I think he would have been better off coming out, having accountability and said, look, we're close, but we're not quite there yet. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we're back there next year.
Do you think he lost the plot, guys? Like, do you guys know that he said we are the best team in the Champions League this season?
Yeah,
maybe.
It's lose-lose.
What is happening? Like, Arteta said some wild things, right? But you can't just come out after being knocked out by PSG when Barcelona and Inter have played that brand of football, and you say, "Well, we are the best team in the Champions League." I think that is. Is he feeling the pressure? Is he, like, I don't get it. How is a manager can say this?
A lot of people have been saying this, and I didn't believe it. And I used to a lot of Arsenal fans used to say when I go on panels, there's something wrong with Arteta. He's a bit stubborn, arrogant, and this. And I used to say, come on, guys, it's not that. But how can you say that the bench told us that we're better? Even Enrique laughed at that. He's like, he's my friend, and started laughing. And then started saying, oh, we played a better brand of football. We're better than them player by player. Things like that. But he's been doing this all season. Don't forget he said over my dead body, oh, this and that. I don't know. I just feel like the pressure is getting to him, but I also feel like he's being exposed for what sort of person he is. Because let's not forget what Aubameyang said in the interview. I know it's Aubameyang. He said this man is a bit sometimes a bit stubborn and a bit. There's a word he used from being stubborn. I don't want to use the narcissist word, but I just trying to say he's a bit of a stubborn guy and arrogant. And you can see from what's happening because. Instead of taking accountability in this football match, because it's very important for Arsenal fans, they genuinely thought and believed that they're going to the final. And I, as a rival fan, I told us Arsenal fans low-key say, you might win this trophy because you guys, sometimes you're good at defending. Then he comes out and still doesn't believe, or doesn't say, oh, we'll do better next time. He just bluntly says, oh, the opposite bench told us we are better. Oh, we are the better team. We played good. We were one of the best in this competition. I just feel like I think that's where he's lost people. But you're right. Yeah, some people have flipped a bit too much. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're reading a bit too much into it. This one that he said, yes, I think that's stupid. Like when he said the bench told me, I think he definitely should not have said that. He should have just stayed humble, said, we played well, blah, 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 but get out. Everything else, I don't really mind because that's what managers do. I can name many things that Pep, Klopp, Fergie, Wenger, Mourinho said in the press conference, and people are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like, they all say stupid things. Like, managers have blamed rain, for God's sake, and said, oh, it was rainy, or the grass was not dry. So let's not do that.
They can back it, though.
They say that stuff.
They can back it, though, because...
Tom, backing it does not mean you can be Delulu in the press conference. You can have 25 Champions Leagues. That doesn't mean you say something crazy.
Mikel Arteta...
to take off the pressure of their team. That's
Mikel Arteta came out and said that Arsenal being the best team in the Champions League this year.
Which I think was wrong. And I said, that press conference, I agree. He was stupid in it.
Why would he say that? I don't understand. Can someone explain to me, guys, on the panel, why would he say that?
Who's panicking? This is a manager who's sitting there going, fuck, this should have been the one. I think what some Arsenal fans don't want to address is when you get close and fail, and then get close again and fail, it gets harder every time to bounce back. The fact they bounced back this year was a bit of a shock to me. I thought this might be the year where they go, fuck, I can't do anymore. Next year, I think it will be even harder because the one thing Arteta has done is take any blame away from his team. It is not on his team why they haven't succeeded. It's on exterior factors, which means then there's more pressure next year because these exterior factors aren't there. So you should.
But that's normal. That's what all managers do. Every manager does that.
No, they don't do
Except
it in the way that he
Mourinho.
has.
Every manager does that.
They don't
Yes,
do
they
it in
have.
the way
Pep
he
has been humiliated in some games and comes on and says, I love my players even more now. Oh, they actually played an amazing game when they played like garbage in certain games. All big managers do that. You guys are forgetting many press conferences where big managers like Pep, like Ancelotti, like Wenger have come out saying these things. That's normal. They do it to protect their place. Klopp has done that for many years. He's always protected Trent, said, I don't know, it's lazy take that Trent is not a good defender, the grass or the rain or whatever. He's come up with excuses, but I've never once criticized them for it because I understand why they do it. Of course, behind the scenes, what happens, that's a whole different thing. They shouldn't be doing that behind the scenes. But in press conferences, they have to say that to make sure their players don't get the stick, right? I agree with the last press conference. That was stupid. He shouldn't have said that because you're not taking accountability. I agree. But to say about the other press conferences where he spoke about over my dead body, what was he supposed to say? Guys, the Premier League is done. I know it's February, but yeah, you know what? I think we have to give up, guys. And look, Liverpool ran away with it. It is what it is. We'll just play for the sake of it. No manager ever does that. Like, it's insane. Only Mourinho used to do these kind of things in press conferences, which is why he was adored for his personality.
But do you understand the point I'm getting at, which is when you're factoring in the way that because of what he said, and I do think the last one takes a lot of pressure onto it, but even throughout interviews where he's been saying, I can't ask any more of my players, he's defending them, but it adds pressure on so that when these conditions aren't there next year, because you shouldn't, Saka is not, hope, for argument's sake, won't miss 4 months of the season, etc. The pressure's on them. Factor that in with the fact that this is the third season in a row, where Arsenal have come up short in a disappointing fashion. They've got to now find another way to bounce back from that. Combine both of them together. Do we think that it's just... I think this could be the breaking point. I just think you've got two massive external forces hit at the same time for a squad that I think is not tired, but is just mentally drained from 3 years of nearly moments, from 3 years of building themselves back up to nearly get there. Factor in that there'll be a new level of pressure next season because there's no excuses next season. I do think that Arsenal should potentially be a little bit worried about what could come next year in terms of just if it doesn't go well straight away, if there's a wobble at the start, it goes from a wobble to a full-blown crisis because players' heads go, I can't do it anymore. I'm not doing the same cycle again and again and again.
And we have, okay, hold on, Ashraf. This is the conversation I want to have. What is next?
Yeah.
Tom really asked a very good question. Actually, he led with a great point. It's like, what if it doesn't go well in the beginning of the season? What happens?
So that's what I was gonna address. I fully agree.
This is the main thing.
Because
go ahead.
Because the reality is the reason why I've been backing him all these seasons is because I know we haven't been winning, and a lot of people are probably going to get triggered when I use this word, but there has been progression season on season, except this season. And I think that's probably why the players, even though they were questioned when we first challenged and bottled the league when we were 5 points clear, a lot of people said, oh, that was one season, they're not going to come back. But I think because there was progression, the players saw something positive in it, came back again next season even stronger, came back again this season and tried again. I think this is the first season we've regressed in 3-4 years. And for me, that's enough to say he should be gone in the summer. Obviously, he's not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. But that's why I think making that change now in the summer and getting a manager that can take us to that last 5-10% where we have fallen short is the right thing to do because it inspires the players, new tactics, new manager, fresh ideas and stuff like that. But unfortunately, it's not going to be the case. And we are going to keep him. We are probably going to sign decent players in the summer because Bert has taken over and we are linked with better quality players. We've already seen links with Sesko Dai and links with Partey, who was nowhere near a contract extension. Nobody even mentioned anything about that. And then Berta comes in and apparently now we're renewing him. So
Zubamendi apparently is like very close to you now.
Yeah. So I think we might have a good window. I just don't think it will be enough for us to win because in my opinion, unless Arteta gets the perfect conditions next season, I don't think he has it in him to win a Premier League or Champions League. I think if we are in a title race with Liverpool and City next season, I think he falters at the end. I think if we go to the latter stages of the Champions League and pressure really hits and we play against a good informed team, I think the pressure hits and he falters there again. That doesn't mean he's a bad manager. He's a very, very good coach. What he's done with us in the last 5 years is a good job, but I just don't think he's the guy to take us all the way through, unfortunately.
Is that because just the PSG game? Did your mind change before after the PSG game?
My mind's never changed. It's always been on progression, or you need to go. Like the moment someone, and I told you this.
You progressed to the semi-final this season.
But the regression in the league is bigger than the progression in the Champions League.
But don't you think there is context for regression in the league?
No, because I can name 4 or 5 games off the top of my head where we dropped points, and they had nothing to do with injuries or nothing to do with red cards. Everton at home, Fulham away, Newcastle away, where we got we didn't get slapped up score-wise, but we couldn't lay a glove on them. Aston Villa at home when we bottled the 2-goal lead. West Ham at home when Liverpool dropped points to Villa, and we could have closed the gap to 4 points, and we lost at home to I think I don't remember who scored, Bowen or whoever scored that game. Like there are games where we drop points. And by the way, even Brighton at home where we had a red card, and I think the red card was horrendous. But we were 1-0 up with 30 minutes to go. There's no reason why we shouldn't have been able to hold on for the last 30 minutes. So you can say injuries in context, but those games we drop points and have nothing to do with injuries, nothing to do with context.
Can I ask you something? And I'm being serious here because I think some people, when I wrote this, I think they thought, oh, he's throwing again. But sometimes I'm serious when asking these questions. Am I the only one, and even to the guys on the panel, am I the only one who thinks there's also something called Arsenal DNA? Because they all seem to also fall around April. Am I wrong? Every time, even with Wenger, I remember you guys used to do well, but when it gets a certain period, you all just fall as a team. Do you think yourself? I think it's there. I'm not bantering. I'm being 100%.
Where did we drop last season? Where did we drop last season?
You drop around April. You usually drop.
No, we didn't. We won 16 out of 18 games.
It was the beginning of the season, Patrick.
Was it?
It was the first half of the season.
Patrick, they won 16 out of 18 games last season. They kept putting it in the last moment of the season.
And drew one, and the one draw was away to City, by the way.
Yeah, but if you look in general, they always drop somewhere here. Somewhere at the end.
They just don't get over the line.
Thank you.
But they're not. In recent years, Patrick, they've not been getting over the line because of what they've done at the beginning of the season, or the first half of the season, where they've slipped up, and then they've lived to regret it. Because ultimately, this season looks a little bit different. Okay, but last 2 seasons, it was mistakes they made earlier on, and I think probably was it the Villa game late on 2 seasons ago was a little bit costly, but they've been okay in terms of fighting and in the running. They've not been too bad.
Yeah, but basically they can't get over the line. It's just a thing.
But I think you need
I don't think that's a word. Actually, I really don't think that's a word.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
To be honest with you guys, I am like that word doesn't mean anything, because if you say that Pep Guardiola like that, he can't get over the line, because Pep Guardiola kept reaching a semi-final and a quarter-final and a semi-final of the Champions League with City, though. For 6 years, and he lost to Chelsea. Yep. And at the end, Pep Guardiola won the Champions League against an Inter team that could have won that game, but he was composed enough to get his DM to win it. Jurgen Klopp was labeled a final bottler with Dortmund, a final of the Champions League. Yes, he won the league with Dortmund. And he reached the Europa League final and lost. He reached the Champions League final and lost. He was on a title race and lost. And then at the end, he got it. There is no definitive word of someone that can get over the line. I'm going to tell you another manager. All of us here have watched football for a long time. You guys know that Luciano Spalletti was labeled a bottler all his career. He didn't get it with Inter. He didn't win it with Roma. He challenged Inter and he didn't win it. And then at the end, he won the league with Napoli convincingly. Another example is Claudio Ranieri, who was called the nearly man all his career. You know that, Dan? Remember the nearly man?
An anomaly.
Always.
That's an anomaly, though.
But my point is, there's a lot of examples in the history of the sport of the nearly man, but at the end, they get it. When you watch a coach and you know that that's a good coach, unless you think that Arteta is a bad coach. With all the, like Lee, for example, Lee Gunner.
He's a good coach, but why would we keep him after stagnating or regressing?
I don't think you should keep him or you shouldn't keep him. I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer this. Let me just
especially when there are better managers out there.
Exactly that. If Arsenal are going to go out and find a better man, Xabi Alonso is just, by the way, Xabi Alonso is just going.
What about Xavi Hernandez? He's a better manager. Xavi Hernandez is a better manager.
No.
Xavi Hernandez, the older
Hernandez.
I like Xavi Hernandez. But do you think that Xavi Hernandez, the older
took over
Barcelona,
Barcelona, when they were 9th in the league, all the issue that they had with financial issues, had to lose Messi, were losing all their major stars, had to work with young players at that time, and took mid-season in November or December, and took them from 9th to 2nd, slapping up Sevilla, Real Madrid, Atletico Bilbao, Athletic Bilbao, slapped them all in that season, and then the next season wins La Liga. What are people talking about? Last season, if it wasn't for that Araujo stupid red card, they would have gone through past PSG and probably made it to the finals of the Champions League. It's ridiculous for people to say Xavi's not a good manager.
So you take him
no,
up.
I like Xavi. I like Xavi.
And he plays good style of football for those.
There's
who
also
like,
probably not enough evidence there to suggest that he's been around long enough at the managing to see whether or not he really is a top level manager or not. I think he's done a good job. But I think Xavi needs another job, and I think he needs to go in. I actually think Leverkusen wouldn't be a bad move for him off the back of Xabi Alonso.
Can I ask you something, Dan? Why not the Arsenal job?
Because I don't believe it will be available. I don't believe it will be available.
Yeah,
I think
I
think Xavi would do more for his career going into a team with a semi sort of similar education to what he would want from his players under Xabi Alonso. I think there'd be a lot of similarities between the coaches, and I think that would help Xavi in that moment. I don't think the Arsenal job will be available. I don't think they'll sack Arteta. But I do think Arteta currently is a nearly man. And I think there is that in football mode, because someone like Gareth Southgate is the perfect definition of that. If you're looking for someone that is like actually true, I think he is, though. I think Gareth Southgate's done well.
You're right.
It was never enough. They had to then go for Tuchel at the FA. So I think Arsenal were in a very similar situation, albeit Arteta has won that FA Cup, that they're at that twist or stick moment. If they decide to stick, it might never happen. But if they decide to twist and someone becomes available that's, similar to what Thomas Tuchel is for England, I think they'll probably be having a calculated thought process around it. If Simeone was available or someone like that, would that be an upgrade? I'm not sure, but with Arteta doing so well, he's made it a more difficult decision.
Mo, what you said there as well about Guardiola, you're saying they nearly got to the Champions League. It took them 6 years or whatever, but they were still winning leagues. You know what I mean? They were still in the contention. And with Guardiola, and even with Klopp, he was a nearly man in finals, but that was off the back of winning 2 German leagues. Do you know what I mean? So they were nearly man in certain situations. And listen, people are gonna say they're gonna criticize Arteta and say he is a nearly man in terms of getting a trophy, but that doesn't mean that you can't say that the job that he's done at Arsenal is unbelievable considering where they were. Because that is a very difficult thing to do. You're seeing it with United. We're seeing it with Chelsea now. Trying to get back to where you want to be competing for trophies is a very difficult thing to do. And they're at that stage. I think they should, and I think they will, similar to what Dan is saying, they will give him another year. But I think it does come to a point, and there will come a breaking point where they say, okay, thank you for what you've done for our club. Really appreciate you getting us to this point, but we need someone that's going to get us over the line. I think that's just where they're at. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Before we go on,
to touch on that as well with what Jamie's saying is the consistency that Arteta's had, where he's had Arsenal finishing this in second a number of times. They've not had that consistency for the last at least 15 years, finishing that high and challenging that often for the Premier League. So to suggest
but Dan, there's a reason for that, because we haven't spent that kind of money. We haven't backed any manager.
You spent a lot of money. You spent 800-900 million.
No, not before Arteta. Not in that.
No,
season.
right. No, you meant under Arteta. You meant under
exactly.
Arteta.
Yeah. So I'm saying the reason why there's less patience now is because none of the previous managers had that kind of backing. And again, this is why
there's more patience. There's more patience now than there was under Unai Emery. There's definitely more patience now for Arsenal.
Unai Emery was an exception. Unai Emery was because things got toxic. The players started making fun of him.
Arsene Wenger, there was patience with Arsene. There was patience with Arsene Wenger because he'd earned that patience. He had credit in the bank. He was one of the best managers the Premier League had ever seen. And longevity wasn't something that was, rushed out the door now. Whereas a lot of teams now, they'll be happy to move a manager on if they believe success isn't around the corner with that manager. They knew Arsene Wenger was part of the club. He'd turned that club into what it was in recent years. There was no reason to remove him because he was financially keeping the club ticking over. It wasn't until the fans really got on top of Arsene Wenger's back that they then decided there to move him out, didn't they? It was when the protest started.
Before you go on, I need just go ahead. You can add.
The big thing I would say is that since Arteta's been there, you said it, Ashraf. It's been progression. So like they have been competing, they have been going through stages to get up to competing and like say being in the Premier League. Even this season, you would say semi-final of a Champions League, first in 16 years. That's good. Even whatever about the league form. So there is a clear indication that like they have made steps in the right direction. But it's a case of, and I think even Arsenal fans are saying it now. This year, when you look at the league and obviously maybe not putting in the performance that they would have hoped in the semi-final of Champions League, it's starting to move towards stagnation. So now I think you're coming to a point and saying, right, we've gone as far as we can. We think we have. And I think because of where you're at and where you're at now, Arsenal fans are like, right, most of them would say, let's give them another say start to the season next year. If it doesn't start well, then you can maybe look at a new manager. But I think it's coming to that point where you're saying you need to get us over the line because we can't stay in this kind of second place, finishing semi-final, final. It's not good enough.
Let me do this super chat. Hit that like button, people, as Luke is saying. Thank you, Luke, for the super chat. Guys, it's 500 people here. We're only on 160 likes. We need at least 200, 250 likes, at least half the percentage. How can we have that many votes? We have 250 votes for where you're tuning in from. Like the video. It helps the channel massively. It helps the exposure of the channel and just getting more people to watch. Let's get at least on the show live to 250 likes. The like button looks like thumbs up underneath your live chat. Appreciate you, Luke, for encouraging everyone. I am giving Arteta a chance to evolve and fix his mistakes. So basically, yes, you're giving him a chance to learn at Arsenal. Basically, that is what it is. So a guinea pig club. That's what you're doing. It's actually crazy. Enrique said,
it's not a guinea pig club.
Enrique said it because it is just the kind of thing you say to your opponent when you beat them so they don't feel bad. Arteta lacks social awareness. He's a fool. By the way, I'm not sure why he would say that. They told him he's the best.
Enrique didn't even say it, did he? No, he said after. He's like, he didn't say it.
He laughed. You see that?
And the press conference this morning, Arteta's doubled down on this statement. He said he's looked at the numbers, he's looked at the stats. He said that they had the best goal difference in the semi-finals and a couple of other things that are just... I think it's shocking. I think that is one of the most unbelievable things I can see from Arteta in recent times, because I actually don't mind what he's done at Arsenal. I think he's done quite a good job, but to sit there and look so naive in this moment and to not be able to open your eyes and see what your team's done, and it's not been good enough in these games, these two legs... I just think it's crazy.
And then he's saying that,
by the way, was so good.
Then.
Yeah, and their numbers were so good because of what they were able to do to PSV as well. It wasn't like they played a team that they were able to put 7 past in the Champions League knockout round. You know, it's not that every team got a PSV in the draw.
Yeah, I don't understand why he would say that.
No,
Dan is saying Arteta behavior, defense, deflection, Arteta. Oh, my man. Arteta in, Nards. Yeah, people just say, listen, there's no point of saying Arteta in or Arteta out. The conversation should be, what is next? How you think next season will go?
We're going to be having this conversation.
No, but I want to ask.
I don't think
they get Eucharist.
next season.
Guys, they get Eucharist. They get a left winger. They get Zubamendi. Do you think that team is good enough to win?
Yeah, that's a good
okay.
That team has been good enough to win for a while now. It has been good enough to win for a while. And I think it will. I think with the right additions and potentially someone building and assembling that squad a little bit better than what Eddie was able to do might be the difference maker. Because I think that team's good enough, and I think they've just been almost unfortunate at times that they've come up against such better teams that they've not been able to beat them. You know, how unfortunate were they that Manchester City team were that good? How unfortunate were they that they then had to compete against them 2 times? I just think ultimately, if they can make some adjustments in terms of squad building, they'll close the gap again and sort of reignite the hunger. But Tom's point earlier, it gets harder and harder listening to the same voice to get the hunger back, I think. And that's where Arteta's running out of time.
Tom here
I also don't
saying
think that team is enough to challenge if City do the right transfers. I don't think it'll be enough.
Yeah, but that's without saying what they do, isn't it? If City go and get another...
If we are seeing, is this team good enough to win? We cannot just win by improving ourselves.
Yeah, but then the conversation changes once that
happens.
Ashraf, the conversation changes once that happens. Right now, City haven't recruited anyone, and right now, neither have Liverpool. If both of those teams strengthen, then you have to then reignite the conversation that Arsenal may have to do even more because the gap might have got even bigger.
And
it comes down to recruitment as well. It's like who do they back their players more? So say Liverpool go out and buy XYZ, Man City go out and buy XYZ. They have to trust that the players that they bring in are going to be the ones to get them over the line more than the players that the other teams bring in. So that is going to be a thing with, obviously, with Eddie going, like, how does that work in the transfer window? Because that will be a big thing for Arteta.
Arteta has to learn as well that, one, this performance in the Champions League, no matter how you dress it up with stats, isn't enough to win you a Champions League. There are other factors that come into it. He has to learn that too. Yeah, exactly right.
We've seen it. Like the best teams do not win like the Champions League every single year. Sometimes it's just about sometimes it's just about getting the job done. And
a bit of luck, a bit of fight,
a little bit of luck, a little bit of fight.
Look at Acherby. I'll tell you right now, Arteta would never have allowed his centre back to be in the position that Inzaghi allowed Acherby to be in. Never would have done that. But Inzaghi took a risk and said, go and try and make something happen. And who better to ask to do that in that moment than the guy who's been at the lowest of the low and had nothing to lose and knew that he could potentially make something happen, right? And that happened, and that's what football does sometimes. And I just don't know if Arteta would do that, because I think he's too stubborn. You can hear it in the way he's talking about the stats and the numbers, that sometimes you just got to let football be football. And you just got to let a miracle happen.
The way you said it, you just gave me goosebumps, bro. But
yeah, but you do.
Because the way he said it about someone who battled cancer twice.
Yeah, and he lost his dad.
He lost his dad. He was so drunk, and they had to save him and then playing football, and then going on a free to
Haller as well. Moments like that. Football throws up these moments, and that's the thing stats will never show you. And sometimes it's moments like that where I think you just have to allow magic to happen. Sometimes you just have to. And
talking about crying more, the whole City fan base is crying as Wirtz is going to buy it.
Oh yeah, I just saw this.
Oh, it's going bad. My group chat is just going.
Expected though. That was it's not like anyway. Well, let me just finish. Liverpool was under his skin even before a kickoff. I don't know, bro. I'm just telling you something, Tom, and I'm just gonna tell all our Liverpool fans: don't give a damn about the game that is gonna happen Sunday. They don't care, win or lose. They have.
I don't know. I think Liverpool want to go out and put in a performance. They won't want something similar against Chelsea, or they won't want to get battered. But like, I think it will mean something in the grand scheme of things. Like, kind of, Arsenal obviously have been kind of, I wouldn't say our competitor this season, but have pushed us in certain aspects. And you want to go out and put on a performance. You know what I mean? Like, it's our first game. I know we won the league last time, but it's our first game at Anfield as champions. So I think
you want to lose.
I think they want to go out and
Arteta will evolve like he did between 23 and 24.
He absolutely has to save his job. He absolutely has to. He has to evolve. Otherwise, I think the conversation will get louder and louder from the Arsenal fans. He has to now evolve. He has to make changes. He also has to learn that his squad and the shallow depth that he has in terms of wanting a smaller number is not enough anymore. He has to up that number as well and have a bigger squad to work with.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Don't forget, as the longer we go without winning anything major, while I think our team is very good and is good enough to win things, and a lot of our players probably haven't hit their prime yet either, but the longer you go, the most players start thinking about, should I go make that move to another club? And it might start, I don't think it'll start this summer, but it might start with Saliba, right? We all know eventually he might make that move to Real Madrid. And if that becomes a domino effect for players like Rice, like Saka, like Gabriel, to all think, while I'm still in my peak, should I make that move? You don't want to be in that position.
Yeah, it will start a wave, Ashraf, 100%.
Yeah, by the way, once Arsenal sell Saliba or get rid of Saliba, the other players will think this is a stepping stone. Now we're not. We're not winning anything here. This is a stepping stone. We need to go. We'll talk about that. Let me just do this.
By the way, that happened to us in 2010 when Fabregas left.
Fabregas
and Clichy. The year after Van Persie left as well. Obviously, Sanya left 3 years after that. Like, that whole team started moving one after the other. And it all started, I think, with Adebayor first when he went to City. And then year after year, we started losing one of our starting 11. Hileb went to Barcelona. Flamini went to AC Milan. Like, the only guys that stayed
all the way till 2012. That team was just dismantled and dismantled and dismantled.
One after the other, one after the other. And then, and they went to teams to win. And that's But
the players that you were bringing in, I mean, it may be different now, but as soon as big names start leaving, the bigger names look at the club and go, I'm not sure I want to go there as well. So you get in that awkward sort of period of time. It wasn't until Mesut came into Arsenal that actually it shifted the balance a bit. And other players went, if Mesut's going to go there, then potentially that's worth looking at going to.
Sanchez then as well.
Mo, if Inter and Chelsea make Club World Cup final, we're going. Big up the guy. That's a deal. That's a deal. If Inter and Chelsea make Club World Cup final, we'll meet in the stadium. Okay. Club took 10 plus years for a trophy. Arsenal fault for having a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, Klopp was managing Mainz. Obviously, it shouldn't be held against him.
I think it's that aspect of when you're managing a team like Mainz, there's not as much pressure. Like I think they're in the second division of the German league. That was his hometown club. Got them promoted, and then he obviously went on to Dortmund. But I think that's the thing with Arteta as well, is he hasn't been through that kind of specific phase. Like he's obviously been straight into Arsenal, so he doesn't have that experience to lean on and say there's going to be difficult moments like this, but not with the same amount of pressure as say if he was in managing a championship team.
I think he does as a player. I think he's
but he wasn't really successful as a player either, if you remember.
No, he actually was arguably the same level of player as he is as a manager right now.
I was thinking about this.
You know what I mean?
Is that a banter or you?
No. I genuinely think he got to that level that was just shy of the best. You know, like he wasn't at Fabregas, Xavi, and Iniesta level, was he? He was always just below that as a Spanish player.
Way below that. I'm sorry, Dan. Arteta as a football player was not one of the even good ones. He was just an average footballer.
No. Don't do that. I don't know why you're doing revisionism now.
Yeah, don't do that more.
Bad.
Okay.
He wasn't average. He was above average.
Fabregas and the rest, like they were unbelievable, and he was just like
he was better than Aaron Ramsey. He's better than Aaron Ramsey ever was.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So he was a level above that. He was like a
journeyman.
I think
similar in like Ramsey had a really good period where he was just like 2 years where he was unbelievable. But I think
it's been at Arsenal,
when we signed him,
PSG. Like he's been at Everton, obviously in the Prem for years.
Barcelona, we went Barcelona, PSG,
Sociedad. Like he's
remember
had a pretty solid career.
When we signed him in 2011, it was after that unfortunate 8-2 slapping. We got like 5 players in 2 days, and he was the highlight of those transfers. And people spoke about him like because he was at Everton for like many years, I remember, and he was being praised like crazy there. Obviously, he was never world class, but he was a good midfielder at some point.
Yeah.
I disagree with all of you, but fine. He was an average player at best.
He's better than Fratesi. No?
Slightly above average.
Yeah,
Dan, if Fratesi wins the Champions League and being absolutely crucial. And by the way, Fratesi, the midfielder, guys, came on, played 25 minutes, completed 2 passes as a midfielder one time for Inter. That is ridiculous. But if he's a crucial part of Inter winning the Champions League, I think he's had a better career than Mikel Arteta, with all due respect.
Who cares about career? We're talking about who was a better footballer. Origi has had a better career than probably Harry Kane. Does that mean he's a better footballer? Like,
I actually don't think that. I watch Arteta Everton. I watch Arteta Arsenal. Arteta is just a good footballer.
No, but he had technique.
That's
he
what
was very good.
Origi's legacy is better than Kane's.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, let me just say that. I can name 50 midfielders in the history of the Premier League since I started watching that are better than Arteta.
Somebody said Adam Lallana.
50.
Adam Lallana.
50.
Go ahead.
We just got to the top 5 teams.
Scholes, Darim.
Sorry. We're going to be here for so long, bro.
I don't have
we're going to be here for so long, you know, but you get my point. I can name 50. And I'm going to tell you what, Ashraf, Wallah al-Azim. Onana, that plays for Aston Villa, is just better than Arteta.
No, I have a good one.
Mo.
I don't think you watch Arteta like
I'm not.
Yeah. Mo, I
did watch Arteta at Everton when it was irrationally. I did watch Arteta when it was called the Everton Cup between 2006 and 2010. You guys remember the Everton Cup in the Premier League. And then I watched Arteta go to Arsenal and be just an okay player, nothing exceptional, just an average. Jack Wilshere. By the way, you want to talk footballers and midfielders, or you want to talk what? And by the way, a midfielder for me is not like technique. Hold on, it's not technique. I can take, for example, Michael Essien and Makaleli are way above them, even though Makaleli's technique is not better than Arteta. But as a midfielder, I'll take Makaleli. So for me to talk about a footballer, that word that people like to use to beat people with, like, as a footballer, he's better. Makaleli was a footballer in his position. He was way better than Arteta at the midfield. as a midfielder.
What
Maybe
was
Arteta
Arteta's
has.
position? Because Arteta's original position was attacking mid. He then moved to centre mid for Arsenal when he joined after the first season and played really well there. And then the season when we broke our 9-year trophy drought.
I'm gonna
right,
talk a
in the FA Cup.
midfielder. I don't
One
think
sec, one
about
sec.
10
He
or
played
central
as a
midfielder.
DM. So
We've
he
gone
played
from calling
DM, he played
Arteta
centre
an
mid,
average
he played
manager to
attacking
call him an
mid.
average
He played
player.
all three positions.
By the way,
All
I
three
think
positions.
Arteta is a way better manager than him as a player.
Oh no, I
Way
think they're about the
better man.
same. I really think they're about the same.
Yeah, I think
you
they're
a
about the
question,
same.
Mo?
Yeah,
I
I think they're like the exact same.
A lot of
Yeah.
people
I have a
think I'm
question for you.
bantering.
Mo-
Arteta is just a good midfielder.
Nah,
like
Mo-
nothing
No,
I
else.
have-
you know what? I
And he's
agree. I
just a
agree. I
good
think as a
manager.
manager, he's slightly better than a player. I agree.
Yeah, Mo,
I'd say
I have a question for you, Mo. So, since we are talking about it, I have somebody in my head that just popped up. So, what about Arteta versus Mark Noble? Who are you taking?
Mark Noble.
Yeah.
No, I think Arteta was a better
better than
midfielder
Noble.
than Mark Noble.
Okay.
What about
now-
Johan Cabaye? Johan Cabaye or Arteta?
He was better than
No.
Cabaye.
He's a baller.
Cabaye
He's
didn't
better
even
than
Cabaye.
Cabaye was a baller. I think they
So
enter a
see
very
that?
similar discussion.
It is not about a baller. It's about when I watch.
name
what does he
50
do?
players outside the big six. Then you'll start. Then
Honestly,
it'll start getting difficult.
yeah.
But like that would
that's
make
a good one. Yeah.
then you'll start getting there. Mo, you'll be there for the fucking weekend trying to think of players.
Okay, guys,
Gareth Barry-
This show is not a 10-hour show, so we can't just name 50
He
footballers.
wasn't okay. He definitely wasn't better than Scott Parker.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Yeah, Scott
Scott
Parker.
Gareth
Parker
Barry.
was-
Gareth
Gareth
Barry.
Why
Gareth Barry.
did we go
I think
straight
he
to
was.
Gareth
I
Barry
think
and
he was
Scott
Scott
Parker?
Parker's level. I'm not gonna lie.
Scott Parker's
I think
better
he was
than
same
him.
level
Gareth
as Scott
Barry's better than him.
I think
Scott-
Gareth. I
Scott
think
Parker-
Arteta had a
Scott Parker
longer
won,
period at the top level.
Football Writers Player of the Year in like
Dele
2010.
Alli is better than him. Right? Without a shadow of a
Yeah,
doubt.
I think Dele Alli had a better
Dembele.
peak.
Jordan
Dembele.
Henderson.
Better peak, exactly. I
Jordan
agree.
Henderson.
Better peak.
Jordan Henderson is definitely better than him.
Hendo's better than Arteta.
Henderson is miles.
What
To be
about
honest with
you?
you.
What about
I
you,
think,
Nathan?
I
Again,
think
not
the most
Miles.
comparable
Oh my
player right
I'm
now
gonna
in
tell
the
you what,
Prem.
Kovacic is miles ahead of him, right?
Kovacic is
Yeah,
a baller.
probably.
Kovacic.
I think Tielemans is probably one of the more similar players in the Prem right now to Arteta.
Tillemans
You said
has
that in the
more.
chat there as well.
I think Tielemans and Arteta is a very similar level.
Yeah, I
like,
think
like
so.
if we compare now
I
back
feel like
then,
that's.
Arteta was not a good player. Let me just do these two super
You
chats.
just said, "Why? No, stop. You just said 15 minutes ago he was just a good
No,
player.
well,
That's all.
I
Now
think
it's
we
like,
need to.
He's not a good
Okay,
player.
I
What is
need
it?
to define what I mean.
Stop.
Like what I mean is that there is elite, and there is like very good ones, and there are the. What I mean, I'm translating from Arabic. When we say, "Oh, he was just good," that means you're just like the rest. Like,
Just
No,
like-
no, no, because that's
Lost in
average.
translation.
No, that's
No.
average.
Because
He
there
was
is-
above
because there
average.
is
He was
No,
above
but
average.
people
That's
when
good.
people use average in English, like people mean you're not good. Like when you say he's an
No, they
average
don't. They
footballer,
don't. They don't. Like people that aren't rational
Hmm.
might, but average would mean you're run of the mill. You're there.
so I
Your
think that
average-
as Arteta, you're
Yeah.
average footballer, average
Average.
midfielder. That.
Average. I'm trying to think of like a
Tell
standout,
me,
just
tell me,
average
okay,
journeyman
Dan,
player.
can you tell me 5 names? Okay, just to make this easier, tell me 5 midfielders you think that is average midfielder. They're not bad, they're not great. Average.
James Ward-Prowse, I think, is average. He has
Or
amazing
free kick
kicks.
ability wise would be
That's it.
exceptional.
That's
though.
it. Yeah, but you take that away,
No,
he's
no.
average. I think.
But by the way, we don't take anything away from footballers to make them average.
Fine,
that he
fine,
has in his
fine.
locker.
I think Mark Noble is an average midfielder.
Great. Arteta same level. This it's fine. Like
No,
Oh,
a little bit higher.
Just say that Arteta is better. You see
Hold
what
on,
I said?
hold on. You guys need to understand when I say Arteta is better than him, but they are in the same category. Like
They're not in the
there
same
are
category.
like I'm gonna tell you what.
We
For
need to do a
example,
tier list. You need to start doing a tier
We
list.
can say
What
we
about
can
Steven
say-
Pienaar? Steven Pienaar.
no. Stephen Pienaar was a winger for number 1. He was not like a
Yeah,
mid-
but
he was like
is he an average? Was he an average footballer?
no.
Exactly. He's not average.
Slightly
I think
above
Arteta
average.
is in that same level. Obviously, different positions.
Can I tell you an average? If you want to take an average midfielder, for example, Wanyama for Spurs during that time, is that a good or average? Good or average?
Wanyama was a baller. Wanyama was doing this.
Okay, I'm not saying about a bowler. Wanyama, do you consider him one of the good ones or one of the average ones? Like someone that comes across. Like what I mean, an average, someone that comes all the time, like a midfielder that you watch all the time. You know what I mean? Like someone is not exceptional.
So Decore.
Is that an
Decore.
average one?
So it's Decore average. Decore from Everton. You know, Decore. What about it?
I don't know. The core is an average midfielder that comes around a lot of time. Like you see hundreds of Decore over like 5 seasons, for example.
True, yeah.
Dan, I know you're Googling the midfielders, but I
No,
want to know.
I'm not actually. I'm.
It's okay.
I'm just,
It's okay. I'm okay
Drink
with that.
water. I think drink water
building.
is an average midfielder.
What?
Drink water.
And
is-
Arteta,
Nah,
level.
Because
It's
Arteta
difficult-
is
it's
better than
difficult.
Danny Drinkwater, even though he didn't win a.
It's difficult because like players are like
Arteta is better than drink
Yeah.
water.
And people in the chat help us.
For
People help us.
Probably more comparable to like a Danny Mills or not a Danny Mills, Danny Murphy, something like that. Danny Murphy,
Danny Murphy,
like,
yeah.
players like that.
But Danny Murphy was good in his day as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's
I
it,
think
right? They had
Arteta
good
was
So was
levels.
Arteta. So was Arteta.
Can
Yeah,
we
I
just
think-
move on from this because I need to.
Yeah,
And someone like Charlie Adam, another player,
Oh my gosh!
Like, something like
That
that.
guy's bad. I'm sorry. That
Charlie,
guy's bad.
look, Charlie Adam has an unbelievable wand of a left foot, like unbelievable.
for
You
about
see, now-
18
you see,
months.
now- you see,
No,
I
no,
rated
because
your
he even went.
best on one
He
ability.
even went Stoke, and then he played for
I
years
know.
at Stoke. Who were like, that Stoke side was decent. You had to be
Nah.
expected to get in.
I'm
that Stoke
scared
side.
from Charlie Adam as a Liverpool fan. That's what I'm saying.
Nah, respect
Yeah, but
McTominay.
even
McTominay is a baller.
even at Blackpool for a season in the Prem, that was enough to get him a move.
And I tell you
to
guys, can I
Liverpool.
ask you guys a question for real? This is gonna set it up for me. How do you compare Arteta to Darren Fletcher? Forget trophies. Please
He was better
remove
than
trophies.
Fletcher. He was better than Fletcher. in
Fletcher
my
was probably
opinion.
better.
I think.
Yeah, it's
Arteta-
probably.
People in the chat. I want someone in the chat to help me here. Darren
I think it's-
Fletcher versus Arteta. Who would you take in your midfield?
But
I
Mo,
lean
they
towards
will
Fletcher
always
because
think
you're-
of trophies.
Yeah, I lean towards Fletcher as well though, because I just remember him scoring a lot of big goals. Like he always used to. Like,
Adam
chip in with a big
Lallana's not
goal.
a bad shout as a comparison to Arteta.
Yeah,
Adam
Lallana,
Lallana
yeah.
is
Not a
fine.
bad
Exactly.
shout.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
nearly, man.
I
And nearly,
agree.
man. Lallana also say nearly, man.
All right. Let me do this. Ever since Real Madrid was knocked out, I've been saying Inter will win the Champions League. Big up, Aboud. Thank you so much. Good to see you back, Aboud, on the channel. Also, can't wait for the season to end. This transfer window is going to be one of the biggest for all teams. Absolutely, Aboud. For all the teams, it's going to be one of the biggest. For Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, City. It's one of the biggest transfer windows we will see, I think, this season. I think that a lot of teams will spend a lot of time or a lot of money. But big up, Aboud. Thank you so much. Any words for Mohamed Salah's love for Arteta? So, SG, did you change your words now? Like, do you think Arteta's a bad coach? Or do you think he's a good coach that can get you over the line, SG? Like, Mohamed Salah loves Arteta as a coach. And I'm going to get Mohamed Salah on one of the shows soon to actually talk about Mikel Arteta and what he does. But have you, SG, you've been a viewer and you've been contributor to the channel, and I want to thank you for this. You watch Dan Potts and you watch Lee and you watch all the other content creators for Arsenal. Have you changed your words on Arteta? What is Ashraf talking about? Arteta was an average midfielder for Arsenal and getting canned by Alex Song. And by the way, Ramsey was miles better than Arteta. That's an Arsenal fan.
That's
By the way,
BS.
Ramsey, I agree.
Ramsey.
Wilshere, Ramsey are miles.
Nah, Ramsey weren't much better. Wilshere was. Ramsey.
Yeah, but Wilshere, like,
Ramsey
it was
wasn't
literally, I'd say what he had 1 or 18 months similar. Like similar I was saying about Charlie Adam.
Yeah.
It's just the injuries killed him. Do you know what I mean? I don't. In
Yeah.
terms of ability,
No,
Wilshere
Charlie
was
Adam
like,
had a
Please don't
decent
compare
talent, though.
Charlie
We're-
Adam
we're
and
doing him a
Wilshere's
disservice
talent,
here.
bro. Stop it.
Ramsey is better than
Wilshere's
Arteta.
Wilshere's ability
10
was
times better.
unbelievable, but his injuries hurt him. But
Yeah.
I think Ramsey is probably comparable to Arteta. Arteta's probably better, to be honest with you.
I just know Abu Dhabi on his day was better than.
Can I
Ramsey.
tell you guys something? No one Googles how many caps does Arteta have? I want your hands like this.
Zero.
How
Zero.
many caps does
Zero.
Arteta have? I want everyone to guess. Guess. Does Arteta have for Spain? How many times he was called? You're muted, Dan.
Zero.
Yes.
We
Eighth.
know zero.
8th.
Zero.
Okay, so hold on, Ashraf. You said zero. How many do you think, Jamie?
8.
Dan?
I feel like Ashraf knows
21.
now.
What did you say, Dan?
21.
Same number of league
21?
titles.
Patrick, how many?
I don't know because I never really saw him like that. That's the thing. He was really,
I gave my answer, so I'll put my hand down.
I don't know. He was so
I know you know Ashraf. He was never called up. to
You
the
see,
Spanish
that's why I
national
never
team.
saw him because I never saw him in that midfield.
But to be fair,
guys,
to
guys-
be fair, that
Yes,
Spain team
exactly,
was
tell them.
Was
stacked.
unreal,
That's,
yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
So he's
What
like
are you
Mark
on about?
Noble then, is he
David
not? He's
Silva
like Mark
compared
Noble.
to
My
this
man
team, bro.
retired
Wait,
in
wait.
2016.
Is Cazorla considered a talented midfielder? Cazorla
talent.
is top
But
level.
Cazorla is not one of
He
but
was
Santi
Still
Cazorla.
talking about
Yeah, but
this.
Santi
Okay.
Cazorla is not
He
one of the
wasn't called
great.
in one of the.
Okay,
tournaments.
Mo, Google
Guys,
how many
can I
caps.
just
How many caps did Mark Noble have for England? And I think we might have found our match.
So I was right about Mark Noble. So he's a Mark
I
Noble.
think he had more. I think he had a cap. I think he had a cap.
To be
I'm gonna
honest,
tell you
that
something.
Spain midfield
Jimmy
shits
Bullard,
on England
Jimmy
midfield
Bullard
every day,
got
I'm
called
not
up and
gonna
never
lie,
actually
guys.
got a cap.
Even
Like,
for a friendly Ashraf, like we wouldn't even get a friendly against
Xavi
Spain.
and Iniesta.
Mo, when you have
Xavi and
20
Iniesta
of them,
and Busquets, like it really
Mark
was a good
Noble,
game.
yeah.
Mark Noble
and
had
then Xabi
0 England
Alonso and
caps.
Fabregas,
David
Marcos
Silva.
Senna, like Marcos Senna, David Silva, Cazorla was called up for one of them. Guys, they had so many qualities sitting back in Spain.
We
Why the
can't
hell-
do this,
come on,
guys. We
let's-
can't be the Rational League calling him the Spanish Mark Noble. But
Yeah, that's ridiculous. What are you
Get
guys
that going
with,
on.
bro?
Get
Come
that going on Twitter there.
This is not the Russell League anymore. I don't know what the hell happened.
You think I'm bantering when I say Arteta's just an average midfielder?
Mata,
that
yeah,
plays
as
across
well.
100 out of them. Like you see 100 Artetas over like 5 years. 100, 200 Artetas.
I
Like,
don't think that's
he's-
true. But anyway.
Anyway, listen, people. I want to thank everyone that joined us. Thank you, everyone that supported us. Tomorrow, 7:30 UK time, we're gonna show with Ahmed, Marshall, Dayo. This is gonna be a different kind of show. But thank you, Ashraf, for joining us today. Rory is gonna be here Monday finally, and Jamie, appreciate you. Jamie, by the way, I don't wear other teams' jerseys,
No?
but other people
I
are
got-
allowed to do that.
Yeah, I got this a while back. It was off a brand they gave it to me, so that's why
Yeah.
I didn't buy it myself.
And by the way, I only wear Paris
got-
Saint-Germain, I wore Spurs, I wore Arsenal, I wore
who's on
Liverpool.
the back, Jamie? Who's on the back?
Oh my
I
God.
rate that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
so
you have to make an exception to that.
Yeah, you can have that.
Yes, yes. Absolutely
That was
phenomenal.
the best stuff.
Oh, I like what you did there, bro. I like what you did there.
Yes. Anyway, listen, people, let's get to 200 likes. It was 10 likes away from 200. We had like about 600 people here. So how do we not have 200 likes? Guys, 10 likes away. I will see you guys soon. And Mina here is sending in super chat. Rationally leaves, Nobbins turns Patrick. Love it. Patrick is great. Patrick is great. Fantastic.
It means he love. I think I know him. I've seen him in my chats before. Big up to you.
Yeah, but Mina's always here. He's been called. He called in for my channel MHF with Don Hussam as well. Mina's is I think Egyptian from Canada, and he's a Bayern fan. Thank you, Mina, for the support. I appreciate you guys. This will take you to Football Terrace, if I'm not mistaken. I did the redirect, and we're out of here, people.